Oh, welcome everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Oh. How's everyone doing? Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Oh, right. Time for QUALI again. Don't have much hope for this, not gonna lie. But we'll see. We'll see. There may be some gremlins, you never know. But hope everyone is doing well. I've been doing ungodly hours. I have been, Mark. My body clock right now is absolutely screwed. It's screwed. But hey ho. Do it for the love of the game. I love this game. So I woke up 10 minutes ago. Yeah, 10 minutes ago. Oh dear, little ones. Hang on. Doing well, thanks. Doing well. Oh, do I get her up? I'm gonna have to get her up. Right, guys, bear with me. Little one's just woken up. Mrs. is still tucked up asleep. I'm just gonna have to go change her nappy and bring her in here. Basically, we've got a few minutes until qualifying starts, so that is where I will be just for the moment. I just need to. Well, clearly the cat. Maybe not, actually. Maybe not. I think she's alright. Mrs. is woken up now. Seems I'm keeping hours normally keep for Brazil. Yeah. Well, only got till... when have we got till? So next week is a normal weekend. Obviously no F1. And then Japan. Japan is similar to this, unfortunately. There will be so 2:30 2:30 a.m. is Japan. Practice 2 is at 6 a.m. Practice 3 is at 2:30 a.m. Qualifying at 6. The race at 6 a.m. So that is Japan, and then my body has 5 weeks, basically 4 weeks to get back on a normal to sort itself out. Because then we have some evening races with Miami and Canada. And then we don't have a really early morning race again until Vegas, which will be 4 a.m. that race will be, which is at the end of the season. So I can't complain too much. I do when I find myself complaining, I try to just stop myself. But I love it. I love it. What is the green dot on the track map? It is the overtake mode zone. Do I think Max can have a comeback in QUALI? I don't know. I think he can definitely make improvements because there's clearly fundamentally wrong things with that car, so maybe they can tweak some things with setup. But I don't know how effective that will be. I think it's fundamental issues with the Red Bull at the moment that is causing it to have the problems it's got. Hadjar, of course, did worse off. Sorry, guys, spoilers if you've woken up and not seen the sprint race, but hey ho. Basically, yeah, the sprint race didn't go very well for Hadjar. He did start on soft compound tyres, and I'm surprised they put him on the softs, but thinking for the race ahead. Carlos Sainz, and I think Liam Lawson said that himself, goes, while he finished in P7, he said losing the hard compound tyre does potentially leave us at a detriment come the race on Sunday. So the Red Bull is a tractor engine formula is boring. Well, funny enough, Mario, supposedly they said the engine isn't the issue. It's their chassis and their aero. Because they're just eating their tyres. So, do I think they'll give us the battery percentage? They've got to. They can't go throughout this whole season without giving us the battery percentage. But at the moment, they've taken a different approach of less is more for us fans and just enjoy the racing out on track. Because look, I did enjoy that sprint race. I did, but yeah, they are purposely providing us less information to paper over the cracks to try and gaslight us into what are issues with these regulations, even though it's very widely known what the issues are. And yeah, I think it is a detriment to us. I mean, I'd love to be able to tell you guys and inform you all what exactly is the status of each battery and so forth, but yeah, they'll just go, look at all the overtakes we had. But we know not every single overtake is meaningful. But the fight earlier on for P1 was entertaining. And I have seen as well now, guys, I have seen an extra comment from Charles Leclerc that I missed in the battle with Lewis Hamilton. And I thought he'd only complained once about basically being let through for Lewis. Oh, good morning. You done crying now? And he made an extra comment about a complaint about them racing wheel to wheel. And I was just thinking, Charles, just stop it. Stop your moaning. Like, it's racing. You're the one who's poked your nose at Lewis whenever you could, rather than try and maybe help each other out in relation to the battle against George. While I don't think there was an opportunity for him to properly attack George, he definitely more so tried to attack Lewis in some of those situations. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle, inter-team battle for this season, Lewis and Charles, because I think Charles, we know that he can get moany. I know there's lots of Charles Leclerc fans, but he can really get moany. To just look at all the time Sainz took it to him out on track. And obviously Lewis is, 7-time world champion, and he's also got under people's skin as well before in the past. It was enjoyable, Jarvis. Yeah, I did it. I actually enjoyed it. I did. I think probably because of the nature of this track. It was a shame, obviously, it was so easy to overtake on the back straight. But, yeah, I mean, I would still much prefer this than just seeing, like last year's sprint. I don't know if you saw last year's sprint, anyone? Which is the one Lewis Hamilton won. Like, that was boring. Literally no one overtook. No one could overtake. So, I still would prefer to see more overtakes than have no one overtake at all. But yeah, of course, we do want to have a bit more mean. We don't want to be oversaturated with overtakes either. There needs to be a happy medium, and that's what we're obviously that's what F1's trying to find, and I'm sure they will find with some tweaks to the power units, or at least the distribution in power, and how the battery is able to be recharged, blah 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 blah, etc., between now and Suzuka, I think, or at least after Suzuka. With that large gap to Miami. Can Max get top? No, unfortunately not. No, it's limited with the machinery underneath, and that Red Bull's just not in. That Red Bull, I thought they'd fare much better here than they would in Melbourne, but seemingly not. Seems like with Verstappen and Hadjar in that Red Bull, it's just chewing its tyres, eating them alive, and that's their problem. So. Hey Glenn, good to see you, mates. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. I'm not complaining. I love the new cars. Finally, we get to see something better. We finally have overtaking. Much better than the self-driving cars of last year. Yeah, I think people have rose-tinted glasses. I think, look, let's be real. We should not be watching F1 cars get slower as they get down to the braking zone of a straight. Right? That's a fundamental thing with motorsport that cars just should not be doing. So, at least of all Formula 1. So that we can all agree on. But the whole reason of these new regulations was to try and promote better and more overtaking. For it to be able to be easier to follow. To have the drivers have more emphasis on their cornering ability because of them being slightly smaller, slightly shorter, narrower, lighter, and the aero flow to be more in-wash than outwash. And that's we got an insight into that earlier, I think. Definitely with how often George and then Charles and that went side by side into turn 1 and throughout the field as well, not just up front but throughout the field. So there are positives to these regulations. There definitely are, especially with the aero package and the aerodynamics. Of course, we know the negatives because they get spoken about so much. But yeah. But I'm very well, thank you, everyone. Hope you are too. Just a reminder that you avoid all the adverts from YouTube by using Brave as your browser. Non-sponsored there. Right, that Mercedes have the fastest car on the grid. I think so. The little one agrees as well. Who should not be up at 7 AM. I didn't know it was. The cat opened it, clearly. Will it not be boring Mercedes P1 and P2 in quali? Well, this is the problem, isn't it? Is that we're hoping that there will be some upsets. I mean, look, Kimi Antonelli is not guaranteed to lead off of the start. Or, I mean, he's 2 for 2 now by ballsing up the starts. Actually, he's 3 for 3, I'd say, because you could say the safety car restart as well. He ballsed it up there. So you've got the entertainment of Antonelli falling through the field and then having to make his way back through. But you could see how much more of an advantage that Mercedes has. I mean, Antonelli basically ploughed his car. He ploughed his Mercedes into the side of Isaac Hadjar. And he still was considerably quicker than the rest of the field. So a Merc can still bottle in quality. Exactly. And there could still be an engine gremlin. There could still be... I mean, who's to say that Mercedes don't get that overloading of the power to the rear that we've seen from many cars, right? Many cars, so... It's stupid to call it the peak of motorsports when car is slowing in the straight. No, I agree with. That I agree with. I said that is a definite negative and that's something that needs to be rectified. But you can't lie that the racing, at least, has been enjoyable, I think. I still don't want to see cars slowing down at the end of a straight, though. And I don't think the censorship that F1 has been implementing is any good for the sport. Just own that there's positives to this regulation set and that there's negatives. And how you're going to rectify those negatives. And don't censor the drivers. Don't censor the radio messages and the just comments and things like that. So, it's room time, Taco. It is indeed. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're good. Good morning. Just over a minute until full qualifying gets underway. So, hopefully, we'll see a bit of a shake-up of the order again. But one thing is for certain. If either Charles Leclerc or Lewis Hamilton line up on the second row, they are leading, aren't they, at the end of lap 1? Or at least halfway around the first sector. And what I will say also is that when we talk about racing, right? When we talk about racing and these new cars, Lewis Hamilton didn't just launch straight into turn 1 in the lead. He made a great overtake into turn 9 on George Russell. So there is still good wheel-to-wheel racing here that isn't solely dependent on the battery. There's still driver elements here. As much as many on social media would like to make you believe, there is still an emphasis on driver skill and ability to make the difference. Do I watch World Endurance Championship IMSA or other motorsports? I would like to say I do, but I don't get the time to. No, it's not at the top of my calendar, and obviously with little one, F1 takes up so much of my time anyway. I don't really look at too much other motorsport. I keep an eye on it though. No doubt battery charging deployment will improve, and maybe even Honda might overcome their vibration issues. Yeah, maybe. I think the order that we see right now won't be the order to come the end of the season. I mean, maybe Mercedes will still be there, but I mean, look, McLaren has still got a Mercedes engine in the back of their car. They got a good chassis underneath them. They're just down on power. Red Bull sounds like it's just a chassis. I say just. Obviously, there's still fundamental issues. You've got a chassis issue and like an aerodynamic package issue. That's reasonable to fix, I guess, with wind tunnel time and stuff. Obviously, they've got the powertrain, which seems to be working okay. So, but my pleasure, Drew. My pleasure. Someone said a lot of my viewership is from India. It is indeed, yes. I know that there's a massive, massive fan base in India. And I know that you have difficulties gaining access to Formula One out in that region of the world. So, yeah, glad to be a part of your weekend, guys. Big thank you for tuning in. And, of course, at this time of the day, when most Europeans are still tucked up in bed, the viewership, the split of who is viewing where changes, of course. India is always near the top, though. You've got a massive, massive support out there. So, yeah, it's definitely a misstep, personally, if you're Formula One. And who knows, maybe there will be a race back out there in that country. So, but yeah, welcome, everyone. Hope you're good. It's actually easy to get F1 just fan code. Yeah, I've heard fan code is, like, not very good, though. I've heard it's got quite a low bit rate, and it's not particularly great. So... But welcome, everyone. Yeah, always great to see where you are from parts of the world. Truly shows that this stream is global. What we've done here, we've built a great community, and also the sport as well, because that's what all brings us together, isn't it? Is the love of F1. And even though we love to complain, and even though we're complaining now about the sport and the regulations, we still tune in because we're curious, and because we still want to see racing, and we still have the drivers and the teams that we want to see do well. So, right. Qualifying is underway. Q1 is underway. Who's my dark horse to take pole? Thank you for the £2 there, Matthew. Who's my dark horse to take pole from Russell? Oh, you would say Antonelli. And look, I just don't see any world where if those Mercedes don't break down and they make it to the line, they will be on first and second. There's just too much of an advantage that they have over a single lap right now. Even you saw Kimi Antonelli's time. You saw Kimi's time in lap times that he was setting in the sprint race. It was just after ploughing into the side of Isaac Hadjar, he was still quicker than everyone else. Like, it's just obscene how quick that Mercedes power unit is. Obviously, they've done a good job elsewhere on the car, but there is a massive advantage that they have over everyone else at the moment because of how their power unit operates and the efficiency of their battery recovery. So, teams will surely refine the battery strategy after the feature race. Yeah, you'd like to think so, but I'm not sure how much is that is going to close the gap. You can also say Mercedes have also done the same as well, so they might even increase their margin at the top. But we'll see. So, on the way, are we going to see anyone different? So, yesterday, it was the 2 Williams, the 2 Aston Martins, and the 2 Cadillacs who were removed from Q1. Of course, slightly longer qualifying session here. Not people choosing different types of tyres to use. We can see that Leclerc has used softs, as does Behrman. Hamilton's on the mediums. Colapinto up to the top of the timing screens there at 35.973. Bottas 1 second off. I mean, I think we all underestimated really how... we knew it was a big challenge for Cadillac, but I didn't realise it was going to be this much of a challenge. They are some way off the pace, aren't they? So, yeah, them scoring a point by the end of the season, well, it does actually look like a big challenge right now. So, but, yeah. Dan, thank you for the streams. Much cheaper than Sky. Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, much appreciated. Look, everyone can enjoy the Formula One as the way that they want. Some people enjoy this using these watch-alongs alongside the commentary alongside the live footage. So yeah, big thank you to anyone. No matter how you are consuming my watch-alongs, big thank you for being here. So, Charles Leclerc, fastest in the middle sector. He wasn't fastest in the first. Of course, he's on considerably used tyres as Fernando Alonso goes in just behind Colapinto. Can Colapinto get anything out of that Alpine today? We saw Gasly get it into Q3 yesterday. Of course, he unfortunately fell through the field when it came to the sprint race. As Isaac Hadjar does a 34.519 on a brand new set of mediums there. As Verstappen goes quickest and just ahead of Isaac Hadjar as well. So not a lot to separate those two. right now, but we both know neither of those drivers are happy with their car. Oscar Piastri fastest in the first sector. Charles Leclerc slots in right in between the Red Bull. He's the meat between a Red Bull sandwich right now, as Hamilton goes up to 5th fastest on a set of 6 lap-old mediums. But Piastri going quick. That, interestingly, yesterday, looking at the data, when it was working, as Gasly goes up into P2, Norris and Piastri were quick in the first and second sector. They were basically neck and neck with Mercedes. But then you saw the power advantage that Mercedes has in Sector 3, and they pulled out half a second on McLaren alone in that last sector. Like, it was so dramatic of a difference. So Carlos Sainz up into P8 and Alex Albon into P9. They made some good ground earlier as Lando Norris goes up to P1 with a 34.4 on used softs. Oscar Piastri just goes ahead of his teammate. He goes ahead by 4 tenths ahead of his teammate there. And that was a good time for Oscar Piastri on 10 lap-old softs. Arvid Lindblad up into P10. Nico Hulkenberg, who retired from the sprint race earlier, is up into P2. Lance Stroll will set a lap time. He's in P18. Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin is P16. We now have George Russell and Antonelli's on his way out of the pit lane. And he rejoins at the end there. So Nico Hulkenberg went fastest in the middle and last sector on a brand new set of softs. But that just shows really the pace differential, right? That just shows how much of a gap there is between the top teams, the top 4 teams, and the rest of the field right now, because Audi, Hulkenberg and Bortoletto on brand new softs did 34.11s. Sorry, Hulkenberg did a 34.1, Bortoletto did a 34.3, right? Second and third. Piastri did his lap on 10 lap-old soft tyres, and he's still over a tenth quicker. Like, oh, Lewis Hamilton. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's why he's back in the pits, because Lewis Hamilton, those mediums are dead. They are dead. Really stepping the rear out there through the turn 3 and turn 4. So not a lot there for, not a lot of grip there for Lewis Hamilton. Is that battery? I mean, this is the thing. I just don't know. We just don't know what is battery, what is driver error. Like, did he get an overloading of power to the rears there, which stepped out, or was it just him being a bit too throttle happy? It could be either. It could be either, but that's the difficulty with these cars at the moment, to know what is particularly driver error. I think in qualifying in particular, maybe not so much in the race, but in qualifying in particular, we don't know what is kind of a good lap from the drivers and what is a driver error. Which is a bit of a shame. That's why it'd be great to have that battery and be able to see that and follow drivers individually to see when that is being dumped and so forth. The cars do look, I mean, this is a track where, I mean, the wind does play a bit of havoc here as well. You can see it's 11.9 kilometers an hour at the top of your screen there, northeasterly wind. So there are certain corners where that can really unsettle these cars. And that's been a feature of the Shanghai circuit. Track temperature is 31.6, so a little bit warmer than it was yesterday at this stage of qualifying. Charles Leclerc improving here, though, it seems, on this set of soft compound tyres as he comes around the last corner. Is he going to be able to go to the top of the timing screens? And I think he's coming to the pit lane. Yeah, he's coming to the pit lane. Okay, there we go. Right, let's just keep an eye on the 2 Mercedes, shall we? They're on brand new softs. Shock. They've got so many softs available to them. They're so clear ahead of the field at the moment. And Anthony does a 24.2, as does George Russell. We did see 23s yesterday, so they're still a little bit off the pace of what they can achieve. Why do the icons fly out the screen when going into the pit? Can this be turned off, baby? No, it's nothing that we can do. It is to do. There's telemetry issues at the moment with F1. We didn't even see them line up on the grid in the sprint race earlier, which was a shame. We had to just wait until they led themselves down into turn 1 and appeared at the end of the pit lane. So yes, across seems to be that where they basically cross the paddock, that is where there are issues with the transponders. Although in qualifying, it seems to have rectified itself. Yeah, you can see they just shoot straight off screen, pressing that boost button, boosting them off the screen. Right, so let's keep an eye on Kimi Antonelli. Fastest in the middle sector. He's slightly ahead of his teammate here at the early stages of this session. And he does a 33.3, just a casual 7 tenths quicker, but he is on brand new softs compared to the 11-lap-old softs that Piastri set his time on. As Hulkenberg goes quickest in the last sector, but doesn't improve because that middle sector was so slow. As Russell goes fastest again, George really knows how to recover that speed in that time in the last sector. Really has a strong last sector here over everyone else at the moment. Busy circuit. Hamilton is back out, and he's on a brand new set of softs. So Hamilton is actually in the drop zone right now. He is at risk. There's still plenty of time, though. 7.5 minutes remaining of this Q1 session. Yes, the cars are chucking the drivers around upside down world. Just pit stop lost time is infinite as pitting currently teleports you to the void. So Norris on a brand new set of softs. Piastri on a brand new set of softs. Charles Leclerc is also on a brand new set of softs. So, yeah, those banker laps on the used softs aren't going to be good enough. So Hamilton just needs to get a half-decent lap in here, and he'll be able to get across the line. Because, to be honest, we know at this stage of the season, it is pretty much Cadillac in the bottom two, Aston Martin, and then it's kind of those last two positions. So really, there's only, although there's 6 cars that go out in Q1, there's only really two positions that are up for grabs. But George, this is the thing right now, because there is such a pace differential between the rest of the field, Mercedes can just go out there and just do one lap. One banker lap, done, back in. So they don't have to use like brand new tyres. As Albon only goes 16th. Albon, that Williams struggling. My stinker for this weekend is currently being proven correct, as Hamilton does go across the line and goes P3, 2 and a bit temps behind George Russell and Kimi Antonelli there. Aston Martin aren't breaking down, so that's something. The reliability here has been much better. Yeah, it has been much better. Do I think Hamilton has a chance at his 8th? You would say no right now. You would say no just purely because of the performance gap between the cars. It's too early to say. What I would say is that if Ferrari don't figure out how to get more power from their power unit, and I know obviously the power unit regulations are a bit iffy. There's only certain things that you can do to them. You're quite restricted once everything's been homologated and approved by the FIA. I don't know. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. I wouldn't like to put money on it, that's for sure. Can Lewis beat Charles this season? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think he can. I think Charles might get rattled a bit this year. Just like he was with Carlos Sainz. But I suspect Lewis will rattle Charles a lot more this year. And I think that relationship with him and Lewis will come a bit fraught as the year goes on. So, in the bottom sit as Charles Leclerc goes fastest. Oh, yeah. Charles Leclerc fastest there. 33.175. But we know Mercedes weren't really properly pushing, not to dampen any hopes here, guys. Lewis was very respectful to Charles in the sprint. I think they were. Yeah, I mean, that's why I was a bit taken aback by Charles's comments, which I saw only after I ended the live stream, about his complaints about leaving space and so forth. He left exactly the right amount of space. So, yeah, don't know what he expects. Red Bull the best midfield team. I know. Red Bull cooking. Hadjar 12th. Verstappen 13th. They're probably just hoping to get through on this medium tyre, I reckon. Will we see Red Bull back out there? I mean, I reckon Red Bull could get out there on this lap time that they've done. They're 1.2 seconds off of Leclerc. It does look like that they are making their way down to the end of the pit lane there as you look at the speedometers. We can't see them exiting the pit lane right now, but they are quite close. Okay, yeah, no, they definitely need to get back out there then. Yeah, they need to get back out there. But Ollie Behrman's just made up quite a lot of time there, and now they're only 2 positions ahead of Alex Albon. But Alex Albon still has to make up 7 temps, and so does Carlos Sainz. So, will you see Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz make up 7 temps? I'm not quite sure they will. But if they've got the tyres available, they might as well get back out there. It's still glitching in Sector 1. Yes, unfortunately. So, when could be the earliest possible race when someone beats Merckx? It could be as early as Suzuka. It really could. It pains me to say it, because I do want to see Ferrari battle it out at the front. But I think, realistically, at this stage of the season, with the power unit and so forth, it is down to McLaren to sort out the relationship between their car and the Mercedes power unit. That's really where I think the challenge to Mercedes is going to come. Now, that could happen by Suzuka, and they figure it out. But I just don't think until this FIA test comes in June, I don't, and even then it's not guaranteed that that's really going to sort out the issue and peg Mercedes back and hold them back so people can catch up. I think really it's down onto McLaren to sort out their engine. So Leclerc Hamilton might get some banger starts in China again. I think so. Yeah, I mean, the great start by Lewis earlier on and Charles, but Lewis in particular because Antonelli was almost stalled off the line. So I had to have quick reactions to get round Kimi as soon as he pulled away. Alpine has a Mercedes engine. Jarvis, I feel like it's going to be quite common to see Williams, Aston and Cadillac Q1 exits for a while. It does seem that way, but we'll keep an eye on Alex Albon, shall we? Because he is currently the last driver occupying that drop zone position in P17. So he's done a green first sector, Alex Albon, and that's better. That's 9th fastest for Alex Albon, so this is a significant improvement. His middle sector, let's see what it is as he makes his way around turn 10 here, and then down the mini straight from turn 10 to 11. Straight mode activated here. It's a 28.876, it's slower, and that is 17th fastest, and that's 2 tenths. That's a tenth and a half off of his best middle sector time. So this is considerably slow for Alex Albon in that middle sector, but has he maybe sacrificed the middle sector to utilise more battery down this back straight? We will see as he comes down into the braking zone of turn 14. Carlos Sainz goes green in the first sector as well, a 24.465, so much better. Interestingly, Carlos Sainz's first sector time is identical to Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull, 24.465. But lots of green sectors across the board here. So Albon around the last corner. Can he get himself out of the bottom 6? He can. It's an improvement. 1.6 seconds. It's about a tenth and a bit. Just over a tenth and a half. Was it around 10th and a half? It wasn't a lot of an improvement. He's into P16, but Arvid Lindblad is improving as well. 24.5 there. So it was a green last sector for Albon, but it was 16th fastest. How about Carlos Sainz? Well, his middle sector is a 28.6. That's not too bad, but it is only 17th fastest, and Arvid Lindblad is going quicker right now than the Williams. Much better improvement for Isaac Hadjar on the soft compound tyre, up into P8 there. Verstappen, fastest last sector, up to P4. Good to see. Good to see. So Verstappen maybe made some tweaks to that car, and he feels a little bit more comfortable in it than what we saw from FP1 and the sprint qualifying yesterday. Carlos Sainz up to P14. So Alex Albon is definitely out. We've lost, well, at the moment, we have lost Lindblad, but he is round the last couple of corners here. Let's see. Can he push Colapinto down into Q1, out of Q1? Oh, great lap time from Arvid Lindblad, up into P11. So that pushes Colapinto down, and Bortoleto at risk here as well, because Colapinto is going quick, but so is Bortoleto. Since this isn't over with yet, Carlos Sainz, who has completed his lap, who's currently P15, may end up still out in Q1. It could be identical to what we saw yesterday, as yes, Colapinto goes up into P9. Good lap time from the Alpine driver. Bortoleto, he also jumps up to P7. What a lap time from him. So it is Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon, Fernando Alonso, Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, and Perez out as Perez crosses the line. Bottas is improving, but he is some way off the pace here. So it is the exact 6 cars out in Q1 as it was yesterday in sprint quality. So 2 Williams, 17th and 18th. Let's see if Bottas, though, he might put a spanner in the works here. No, 2.2 seconds off the pace. Still a full second off of Carlos Sainz's time. And there we go. Sainz 17th, Albon 18th, Alonso 19th, Bottas 20th, Stroll 21st, and Perez 22nd. Alpine for sure is improving, yes. Colapinto yesterday, in defence of him, and I didn't see any, because it's been really early mornings, I haven't seen any interviews, but Colapinto I think his qualification yesterday, I'd presume, is potentially down to car issues, because FP1, he did have that typical spin where as soon as you touch the brakes, the rears lock up and you go around into a spin. And then he broke down in the pit lane as well on his way to the garage. So, yeah, that is definitely probably a car issue yesterday with Gasly getting that into Q3. And Alpine do seem to have unlocked a bit of performance just from Australia to here. So, yeah. Abby, when you're commentating, at least be neutral and not biased towards Max. Oh, goodness. If you come in here claiming any biasness about me to any driver, then you're best off going to find another channel, to be honest with you. I will be as fair as I possibly can. The only driver I am a fan of is Lewis Hamilton. However, if I see Lewis Hamilton, for those who have been watching long enough, you'll know that if Lewis Hamilton does some stupid stuff and he has a poor performance, I will call him out for it. No one is above criticism. And likewise, every driver is equally deserving of praise. So, yes, that's what we do here. We try and look at what is in front of us, assess it, and give the criticism and praise where it's due. The time difference between top 15 is a lot closer. For now. Sorry, don't want to be a damp squib. But yeah, it does Charles at the top there. We know Russell and Antonelli haven't pushed yet, so Merc just not. They're not necessarily sandbagging. They're just not pushing. They don't need to. They just need to go out there and just literally do a basic lap, and they're comfortably through because of the performance gap. I mean, 1.1 seconds between the top from 17th to first. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Canicella. There you go. From a Max fan themselves. Colapinto finally put in that car in a good position. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, he'll be able to get it through into Q3 if Gasly is able to do so as well. Of course, that doesn't mean what we saw in Q3 yesterday and the lineup for the sprint grid doesn't mean it will be the same for here. There may be potential shake-up at the top of the midfield. Lawson and Lindblad did seem to have maybe not a single lap pace, but they seemed much better when it came to race pace. Ollie Behrman is definitely doing very well. He seems to have the best of Ocon. Ocon did allude to, I don't know if anyone saw that, Ocon did allude to that apparently he's not got the same car as Ollie Behrman. And I don't know if that's excuses or if he genuinely doesn't have the same car. I don't know what he means by that. Love for him to elaborate on it and know exactly what is different on his car compared to Behrman. So maybe there is a genuine car performance gap there between the two teammates right now. But Behrman definitely starting off this season strong. It's okay, Abby. It's okay. Appreciate it. Don't remind me I'm on the Colapinto Hopium. Maxo, go if someone comments on him there. What do I think the scenario after summer break Red Bull can come back with the beast car? I think there's a lot of opportunity this year for the pack to improve. It just depends how far ahead Russell and Antonelli are going to get, I think, really. So, Sign says, that was a good lap. That's all the car has in it, is what his engineer replies back to him. So, Williams, definitely, after all the promises for 2026, definitely not at the races, are they? She is, yes, she is. Running around now, walking on her own 2 feet. The next stage is her forming coherent sentences. She's getting there. Do I have hope in Ferrari? So I do. I'm having less hope, though, as I think the race, each session goes on. I think the only way you can beat Mercedes right now is if you have the two Ferraris work together to beat Russell. So you need... They're going to have to put their egos aside and go for the greater good. We need to work together to beat the Mercedes. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to beat them right now. But I don't know. The problem is that it's just there's a lot of hope and reliance on the on the power units of or the power unit testing that is going to come in. Oh, Matthew, thank you for the 5, by the way. We'll get to your question in a second about the upside down rear wing. And yeah, I don't know what they can do. I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know, and I'm not really up to speed on the engine regulations to know what they can and can't do to improve that. So I don't know if it's like reliant on, if we are reliant on the hope that the FIA testing pegs them back, pegs them back, or if it's based on maybe McLaren and Ferrari getting up to speed with their engines. So, but Matthew, you asked what makes Ferrari's radical upside down wing better or worse than the rest. So the pretense behind it is that it has a larger rear slot gap, so it has a larger area for the air to pass through, so it should reduce drag more than other teams and help increase their top speed. The wing also provides a lift and performs as an air brake, so it potentially provides the opportunity to brake later and provide more rear stability on the car. So yeah, they're still testing it out. They're still not comfortable. It hasn't passed its stress testing. I think they said they weren't planning to bring it on the actual car until round 4, round 5, and Fred Vasseur said we need a couple more FP1 sessions to try it out. So that's what we will see from them. Don't think we'll see it at Suzuka. Probably see it at those tracks that are only like hard braking zones. Suzuka doesn't really have that. Similar to Melbourne, it probably won't be very, very beneficial. So, yeah. Hello. Mercs go out early to set a lap in clean air. I mean, yeah, they might as well. They might as well just get out there, set a clean lap, come back in, chill, have a cup of coffee before Q3 starts. I don't see either Ferrari driver helping each other. Well, this is the thing, is that it's only going to come from the team. The team need to say it to them and say, look, at the moment, what is the point in fighting between yourselves? You need to work on trying to attack George Russell, attack the Mercedes, work together. I mean, I'm saying George Russell right now because of George Russell is the championship leader, not champion yet, he's championship leader, and we have Kimi Antonelli kind of messing up his starts right now. So, but Kimi Antonelli on his flying lap is just done a 24.1 in the first sector, whereas George Russell does a 24.0. So the track is starting to ramp up somewhat, or the Mercedes is just starting to put their foot down, because we will eventually see, no doubt, them do sub 24 seconds in that first sector. Ferrari can't have an inter-team battle. The PR division works overtime, yeah. What is going to happen with this dinky F1 now is that cars are going to be programmed for each track to produce and driver input a minimum. Not necessarily. I mean, if anything, we want them to have, I guess, kind of less input with the I say less input with the batteries, but they can focus more so on maximising the strengths of the car and extracting the pace in the corners. But yeah, we know how important it is at the moment with that battery deployment, but that is the overriding factor of whether you're quick or not. So, but it's not the only factor, though. It's not the only factor. Lewis Hamilton, 27.7 in the middle sector, purple there. So the Ferrari boys are fastest in the second sector right now. Antonelli fastest with a sub 33 second, though, 32.9 on used tyres. Russell, though, goes 4 tenths quicker than his teammate. Oh, my goodness. That last sector that I said earlier that he seems to hook up, the 32.5 for George Russell, definitely has the advantage over his teammate there in his other Mercedes car, as Charles Leclerc goes in between the two Mercedes with a 32.9. Lewis Hamilton coming around the last corner now. We'll see where he slots into and if he'll be able to slot in between the two Mercedes, and he can indeed, as he goes just slightly ahead of his teammate there with a 32.8. So the two Mercedes are first and fourth, with Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc in second and third. When you say the Ferraris help each other, do you mean quality? The race, because we've seen now from 2 races that it is possible to get ahead of the Mercedes, and for a period of time at least, hold them back. And if you allow that Mercedes to get into clean air and be offset by the battery usage, and just pull out a gap, then they're just going to drive off into the distance as Max goes P5 there, 6.5 tenths behind George Russell. So yeah, we've seen that if that is really you need 2 Ferrari drivers, or whether it be McLaren eventually, at this stage of where their power units are at. You need them working together so that they can try and get in front of George, or at least offset. So when Russell is offset, maybe the leader, the second car. I mean, it is kind of like, it sounds ridiculous, but then you need maybe like the other Ferrari driver who has more battery to then get ahead of George and hold him back, and it's just, yeah, it just needs them working together in some capacity against George Russell. I'm presuming George Russell, because Antonelli, if Antonelli gets his starts together, then it will be the 2 Mercedes up there, and it'll be a different thing, but altogether. But if Antonelli does mess up his starts again, and Ferrari are 2-3, or 1 and 3, they need to work together to hamper George somehow. Lewis overtook in such a ways in the sprints, and Jules just passing him on straights is going to be frustrating. True, but you've got to play the percentages, though. This is the thing. So there's no need for Jules to try and make those moves that Lewis did when you've got such a powerful machine underneath you. There's no need to take risks. You just play the percentages. Bide your time. So, how is Behrman faster than both McLarens? Because Behrman, yeah, he's doing a good job right now. Behrman getting a lot out of that Haas. Esteban Ocon P11. So we'll keep an eye on Gasly, Lawson, and Colapinto, because they're still yet to set a lap time, as well as Bortoletto also. But Bortoletto's gone slow in that first sector. So no, sorry, Bortoletto has set a lap time, but he's on a cool down lap. So, but he's currently 13th. Last of the runners as Gasly comes across the line, and he goes P8 ahead of Oscar Piastri. So Oscar Piastri's time isn't particularly great, but it was set on a particularly used set of tyres as Colapinto goes P13. So not a great lap there from Franco Colapinto. And Pierre Gasly's last sector was particularly slow as well, a 41.3. So there's a lot of time to be made up for Pierre Gasly in that last sector. A good few, probably about 3 temps, to be honest with you. Yeah, definitely 3 temps, 4 temps even for Pierre Gasly in that last sector. That could have been a lot better for him, as Lawson only goes P14, just slightly ahead of his teammate on a set of used tyres. So, yeah, the order's going to change up here still. The order's definitely going to change up here still. Gasly can improve. Hulkenberg, not confident about Audi's chances. I think Ocon definitely can improve, and Colapinto as well. I think it's really, for the last positions, it seems like it's going to be Colapinto, Ocon, Gasly and Behrman shooting out for it. But Behrman's up in P6 right now. Who knows? Maybe Isaac Hadjar might be a scalp in this in this Q2 session. Or maybe it will be Oscar Piastri. Wow. Weird how impressive Colapinto was as a sub, but unremarkable as a full-time driver. Yeah, I mean, last year didn't go well for him. It could have gone a lot better, for sure. Maybe it's just a team. I mean, sometimes a driver's performance is purely about, obviously, the environment they're in. I mean, driving for James Vowles probably was a lot more of an enjoyable experience than it is driving for Flavio Briatore. I think that's pretty much a given. Connor, you feel like you've jinxed Red Bull, saying I think they'd struggled this weekend. No. How are the McLarens? They look like a severe underdog this weekend. They seem to have found a little bit of performance. They seem to be pretty decent in the first and second sector, but they're just struggling on their battery. They just run out of it come the last sector, and I think that's really where they've struggled, is to try and dial in where that battery needs to be deployed. So it's too early to say Russell will win. Yeah, look, it's a very long season ahead of us, and look, who knows? This, with Bahrain and Saudi being cancelled, that is all but confirmed, pretty much. I think officially by Formula One, but it is being reported by anyone and everyone who works actually in the paddock. So there is going to be a 4-week gap now for teams to get on top of their development and figure things out, and that's undoubtedly what McLaren are going to try and do. And we could head to Miami, and McLaren are challenging the Mercedes. So it's not Merc and Red Bull downfall, but Merc and Red guys just raised the bar too much. Yeah. But the Red Bull is clearly... The Red Bull does have some issues. Hopeful that Ferrari can develop to match Merc deployment. Yeah, we were just discussing this, Connor. So someone said to me, Someone said to me that they have an A spec and a B spec engine apparently. I don't know how true that is, and that the B spec engine may be something that they're working on, or that they can work on and try and seek more power. I mean, as I said, I'm not properly clued up on the rules of what can be achieved to try and improve the engines right now. So there is a lot of positives about Ferrari. There is a lot of positives, but it's quite evident there is a power disadvantage that they have right now. So thank you, Dabin. Much appreciated. Where is it? It's right there. Yeah. Need to keep these vocal cords. Yeah, little one is quiet right now because she's eating. It's the only time she is quiet is when she's got her mouth full of food, which is just like her dad. Who started the Max to Mercedes rumour? Probably in the Max Verstappen camp back in last year, probably. But I don't think it was even rumour. I think it was just there was genuine truth in it that people had seen. They had seen Max Verstappen, or at least his camp, chatting to Toto Wolff. So, right, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc on a brand new set of softs. 24-1 for Lewis Hamilton in the first sector, and Charles Leclerc 24-0-2-2. I think that is the quickest first sector time we have seen from Charles Leclerc, an improvement over yesterday, and he's done a 27-7 in the middle sector as well. So that's purple for George, and that's definitely a strength of Ferrari, quick in that middle sector. Let's see how they are on the back straight, though. So, let's see his clipping, shall we? 329 kilometers an hour. So, 329 down to 300, I think that was. So, yeah, that's about right, I think. 300 kilometers an hour difference. Lewis is at a slow... Lewis has almost like run out of battery there. He barely got up to 300 kilometers an hour from what I saw. So not really good from Lewis in that last sector as Leclerc goes slightly ahead of George Russell, but we know that there is a big improvement for George Russell in his back pocket with a set of small brand new softs. Lewis Hamilton though improves as well at 40.6. That's interesting because the top speed that I saw there from Lewis down that back straight, unless it was a glitch in the data, was around 20, it seemed like it was 20 kilometers an hour slower than what Charles Leclerc was able to achieve. So maybe that was an error in the data, but we have seen throughout this weekend. Unfortunately, it has been a feature. Lando Norris improves and does a 33.0, as did Oscar Piastri as well with a 33.1, but still 6 tenths off of Charles Leclerc. But let's keep an eye on George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, shall we? As they are on a brand new set of softs. Let's see what that first sector time will be for Antonelli and Russell. 24.1. Okay, so it's not sub 24, but how about George Russell? Is he going to go sub 24 and take that purple away from Charles? He comes across the line. Oh, it's a 26.7. Oh, so George has had a moment. George has had a moment in the first sector through that first corner. Okay, we're waiting to see that. I'm still waiting to see that. But George Russell, definitely, we've seen that. I tell you what, we have seen the Mercedes. If there is a weakness of the Mercedes, it is definitely turn one. It definitely has been twitchy through there. Antonelli, a 27.7, though, in the middle sector, matching Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. So here we go. Here comes that Mercedes powertrain. Down the back straight, 331 kilometers an hour is what I just saw it peak at. And there we go. Drops down to 312 just before he hits the braking zone there. So that clipping less severe as what it is in the Ferrari right now. So they're just not losing. They're just not losing as much top speed. And as a result, Antonelli goes fastest. But the top four separated by just over a tenth as George Russell did improve. No, George Russell didn't improve there, did he? No, he didn't improve because he bowed out. And he's on a slowed up at the moment. Ferrari lock out the second row and we have a chance. I know. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. You're going bald if Max gets pole in this car. Well, Max just gone up to 6th, so I think you're safe. I think you'll keep your hair. Oh, there's a double yellow. Why is there a double yellow? As someone in the pit lane maybe had an issue. Oh, I think maybe someone's who just came into the pit lane. I reckon someone's in the pit lane and they've stopped, but we don't know who that is because of the lack of data. I'm surprised the pit lane is not closed right now. What's gone on there? Waiting to see who is exactly... if someone stopped. Why is there a yellow? Double yellows. I don't know. They've been removed. Oh, it's an Alpine. It's an Audi. Is that Bortoletto? Is that Hulkenberg? They almost did a Lewis Hamilton and crashed while entering the pit lane. What happened there? Which Audi is that? It's Bortoletto, right? It's got to be Bortoletto. It's Bortoletto. He was in a very odd position, Bortoletto. He was like on the corner here. It was like on the corner. I wonder if he's had the overloading of the energy to the rear of the car, right? I wonder if he's had that. Anyway, let's see who's going to be removed from this session. It seems that Colapinto has not been able to improve, so he is out. So is Nico Hulkenberg in P11. Esteban Ocon, is he on the lap right now? No, he's not on the lap. Bortoletto is out. Lindblad is out. Norris moves up into P5. So I believe that is it with getting distracted there by the spin of Gabriel Bortoletto while entering the pit lane. We have lost Gabriel Bortoletto in P16, Arvid Lindblad in P15, Liam Lawson in P14, Esteban Ocon in 13th, out-qualified again by his teammates by quite some margin as well, with Behrman up there in 9th. Colapinto is out in Q2, and Nico Hulkenberg is out in Q2 as well. We have seen Isaac Hadjar by 2 thousandths, by the way. 2 solitary thousandths. As Russell reports, something is not right with the car. It's like the front wing is broken. Prepare another front wing. There is hope, ladies and gentlemen. There is hope. Watching this spin of Gabriel Bortoletto as he made his way... Oh, no. Oh, he wasn't even entering the pit lane. I think he just got up on the curb and the rears spun on him as he got up on the curb on the entry to turn 16. So, ooh, did hit the barrier, but I think he's okay. Yeah, I think the car really unsettled itself as he came off of the curb. So I think that's more driver error there than it is for Gabriel Bortoletto. But George Russell, yes, reporting something is not right with the car. He thinks it's the front wing. There's hope. There's hope. But, by the way, positive there for Ollie Behrman. Once again, comfortably through into Q3. And Gasly. Pierre Gasly. Second successive Q3. Great performance from him. It's the hope that kills you. It is indeed. It is indeed. I think Ferrari should be able to win if they improve on the straights. Yeah, I mean, it is power differences at the moment. So, yeah, that was a driver error there from Gabriel Bortoletto. And, well, I can't believe how close that is between Hadjar and Nico Hulkenberg. 2 thousandths of a second. And Colapinto close to getting through as well. He was 5 thousandths of a second. So, there we go. Q3 coming up. Is it just me or does the track look like an overweight dude doing the splits while doing Kung Fu? Okay, now I can't not see that. Now I can't not see that. Why did you point that out to me? What's that? Yeah. Good decision to let Kimi join Mert last year. Imagine the pressure if he was a rookie this year. Yeah, it was definitely the right decision. Especially after Lewis Hamilton announced he was leaving, so. Beer belly turn 8, yeah. Considering just how large the gaps are right now, do you think we can see Jules beat Max's 2023 numbers? I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe. If they maintain this advantage, yeah, maybe. I hope we never see something like that again, because that's domination that I don't ever want to see, because that's not enjoyable. Even if you support the driver, like I want to see drivers go wheel to wheel. I want to see them, like, obviously not to say that Max didn't have to work hard for it, but like, yeah, you don't want to turn up to every race weekend and just be like, oh well, they're gonna win, they're gonna win, they're gonna win. You want a battle. We watch F1 motorsport for battles, don't we? And competition, and that's what we want to see. So. Can't believe the Alpine is faster than the Red Bull. Yeah. Oh, sector times. Apologies. Yeah. Here we go. So, sector leaderboard. You can see that Charles Leclerc is fastest in the first sector. Just. Kimi Antonelli fastest in the second. Just. George Russell losing a little bit of time in that second sector. In the last sector, they're still pretty quick, the Mercedes. So, let's see. I mean, that's a better last sector for Ferrari. So, that is an improvement. So, yeah, we'll see. Verstappen, though, look, 10th fastest. You see the pace of the Red Bull there is just not at the races. Much better in the last sector. That's really where the Red Bull is recovering all of its lost time at the moment, is in that last sector. 4th fastest for Verstappen, 12th fastest in the middle sector, and 10th fastest in the first. So, yeah, not too good for them at the moment. And then the McLaren are just quite comfortably kind of just... I mean, look at Behrman's middle sector, by the way. Quicker than the McLaren's. Really good. And he's on pace with him in the first sector as well. So, Haas and Behrman doing a great job. Is Gasly... Holy Gasly, what happened to him in S3? Yeah, there's a big improvement for Gasly in that last sector. There is a big improvement to be had for him. He could definitely make up another 10th and a half, I reckon. But we'll see. Right, Q3, about to get underway, guys. About to get underway. Hope you are well. Thank you for tuning in on this Saturday morning. We've already been up bright and early. I say bright and early. It wasn't bright and early. It was... we have been up, and I went back to sleep when it was dark and early at 3 a.m. to do the sprint race. So thank you if you are joining us for both of these sessions this morning. And yeah, if you can hit that like and subscribe button, it'd be much appreciated. We'll be back tomorrow for the race, live an hour before it gets underway. And if it's for anything like the sprint race, it could be very entertaining. Will 2026 regulations ruin F1's reputation? No. No, it won't ruin the reputation. No. People love to overreact as well. I mean, look, as we said, we don't want to see cars going slower down the straight, do we? But we want them to keep that pace up. We do want to see drivers have more of a difference. The aerodynamic package is very good. The aero rules are so much better than previous. So it won't damage the reputation as long as they do kind of, make some tweaks, which I think they're definitely going to do. May even see them before the next race in Suzuka, or I think we'll at least definitely see them before Miami, with Bahrain and Saudi now cancelled and a 4-week gap in between. So, what are my personal predictions right now? I still think it's a Mercedes 1-2 with Ferrari locking out the second row. But that still provides us a decent start for tomorrow, doesn't it? From what we've seen. At least we get overtakes. Yeah, exactly. And look, it is a different way of racing. Oh, there's a yellow already. Why is there a yellow in Sector 3? Surely that's not Lewis Hamilton going round. His icon's okay. Is that George Russell? What's just gone on here? Why is there a yellow? George Russell stopped out on track. George Russell is stopped out on track at turn 3. What is he reporting? What is the issue with George Russell? He reported an issue in Q2, and George Russell, his icon flew off the screen. Toto Wolff raises an eyebrow, and George Russell has come to a stop. Has he got going again? I think he's got going again. You can see his icon out on track. Has he been able to do a restart of the car? But there's definitely something wrong with that Mercedes power unit. What has gone on here? His icon's back out on track. I don't know if this is a fundamental issue of the Mercedes, but George Russell braking here. He's got moving again, but he's going very slowly. What happened to George Russell there? Oh my God, he's going very slowly. Very, very slowly. What has happened here? He's got going again. There's been some system reset that they've done. We'll see if that gremlin pops up again. But my goodness, what has happened there? I don't know what he said. But we'll keep an eye on Lewis Hamilton, though, because he is starting his lap, as is Charles Leclerc, as is Kimi Antonelli. As Kimi Antonelli does a 24-0 in the first sector. Charles Leclerc also does a 24-0 in the first sector. So improvements here for Ferrari. We'll see what Lewis Hamilton's first sector time is, if he can get 24 flat as well. He also can do a 24 flat, as Kimi Antonelli does a 27.7 in the middle sector. So that's the fastest we've seen thus far. George Russell still going very slowly. So issues for George Russell here. Big issues for George Russell. Is he going to give a sneaky little toe to his teammate, though, here? I think that's what we could be seeing. George Russell maybe helping his teammate just a little bit there, as Charles is a 10th off in that middle sector to Kimi Antonelli. So Charles has lost some time. We'll see what Lewis Hamilton's middle sector is. And he's lost time as well. Lewis has had a moment in the middle sector, unfortunately. He is half a second off, or maybe that is just battery, and maybe he'll recover that time in the last sector. But Kimi Antonelli is rounding the last corner as George Russell is going very slow. And Antonelli does a 32.322, a quick time. Is George Russell going to make his way into the pit lane, or is he going to start his lap? It does seem like that George Russell has got going again, but he is going slowly, George Russell. He is going slowly, as Charles Leclerc does a 32.6, a 3/10 off of Kimi Antonelli's time. Could this be a first pole position for Kimi Antonelli, as George Russell is stuck at 100 kph. So that's what it seems George Russell is at. Yeah, you can see there, he's stuck at 100 kph. So George Russell trying to fix issues out on track right now. He hasn't gone into the pit lane, I think. But fundamental issues there, as Lewis Hamilton with a slow middle sector. Yeah, he had a really terrible middle sector there, Lewis Hamilton. Half a second off the pace of Charles Leclerc and Kimi Antonelli, and a little bit off the pace in the last sector. So Lewis Hamilton will have to go again. Max Verstappen starts his lap, as does Isaac Hadjar. But the big news here is that George Russell has issues. He's actually in the pit lane now. So George Russell has mechanical issues with his Mercedes. He did complain that there were issues in Q2. Something isn't wrong. Something is not right. Change the front wing. And, well, it wasn't the front wing, because there are definite issues. So watching the moment that Lewis Hamilton had in the middle sector, what happened there with Lewis Hamilton in the middle sector? Why was he half a second off? Double. He lost he had a lot of oversteer there, and F1 is reporting that he lost 0.57 seconds from that stepping out of the rear there. So a big moment for him. As Charles Leclerc also through the which corner is that? I can't tell which corner that is. It's through the last couple of corners. Round onto the back straight, he had a bit of a moment as well. So both Ferraris, definite improvements for them. So maybe they can push Kimi Antonelli. It's not over with yet. Ollie Behrman up into P4 and Gasly up into P5. Gasly on used tyres, though, so there is improvements there. As Norris moves up to P2. Norris, who's got ahead of Lewis Hamilton yesterday, into P3. Well, he is just slotted in ahead of Charles Leclerc by a few thousandths of a second, as Piastri goes up to P2 as well and closes that gap to Kimi Antonelli. So the Ferraris, who we thought would be chasing the Mercedes here, have now just been picked by them, as Isaac Hadjar goes into P6. How about Max Verstappen as he comes his way across the finish line, and he only goes P6. That middle sector is around 4/10 off of that of the McLaren, so a slow middle sector, and that is really where, well, to be fair, he's nearly half a second off. Those Red Bulls are half a second off in the first sector and 4/10 off in the middle sector. Not good from the Red Bull at the moment. Really struggles through the corners, isn't it? Mert power just unmatchable. Well, I don't know if McLaren have unlocked something. I wouldn't say they necessarily have right now. But that last sector, I mean, they're still slow in the last sector in relation to the Mercedes and the Ferraris. But they picked up the pace in the first and second sector in particular. So that's where they made up a noticeable difference there on this lap in particular. So they are trying to get George Russell out of the pits. Not sure if he's going to be able to. But George Russell, definite mechanical issues. It could all be for nothing, and it could be that George Russell makes his way out onto the grid and still slaps it on pole position anyway. So these are the sector, just FYI, these are the sector times right now, as drivers are pretty much coming back into the pit lane to put on a new set of boots. So Kimi Antonelli fastest in the first sector. Charles Leclerc quick though, a 24.0 in the first sector. Norris 24.0 as well. Hamilton 24.0. So a lot more 24.0s in that first sector. Pierre Gasly noticeably quick in that first sector and the second, but so slow in the last, which is costing him right now. But Hamilton, that last Sector 2 time really cost him. That's why he is currently behind the McLarens. So improvements to be had there for him and Charles Leclerc as well in the end of in the last sector, because the last sector he had a bit of a moment through turns 11 and 12. So, yeah, but George Russell yet to set a lap time in Q3. Ooh, Antonelli is 7 Lewis if they had a child. Can't wait for the Buddha circuit in India to open. It'd be good to see a track in India for sure. See, if you're just tuning in to us, George Russell had a mechanical issue in Q3. He was reporting issues in Q2 and in Q3. So they are getting him back out there, I think. They are trying to... What are they trying to do? They're putting a new steering wheel. So they're switching the steering wheel over for George Russell. So George Russell is now looking to come out, and they've swapped the steering wheel. But they are doing like a systems check. So, hasn't really looked solid throughout qualifying with George's car, John. Indeed. Software issue then. Yeah, potentially. Looks like they're adding air or hydraulic fluid too. Well, they have 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes, or just under 4.5 minutes to get that car out there and set a lap time. Pressure is on, though, for George Russell. Can he do it under pressure? And will that Mercedes car hold out? It's currently Antonelli on provisional pole. Oscar Piastri in second, just over 2 tenths behind. Lando Norris is just under 3 tenths behind, and it could be McLaren in second and third tomorrow. Charles Leclerc is P4 with Lewis Hamilton P5. Big improvements to be had from Hamilton's side in particular. Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar in 6th and 7th. The Red Bull most undoubtedly not at the races, as we do have Kimi Antonelli out on the grid. So we have one Mercedes out there. Will we see George Russell? They're probably going to wait till the last moment. Ollie Behrman is in P8 and Pierre Gasly in P9. So improvements for them. And well, Behrman and Gasly, I think maybe they could challenge the Red Bull. We will see. Right. Red Bull having 6 and 7 grid position is insanity, yeah, and they seem to be falling through the grid when they are on the start procedure as well. That's what Max Verstappen had earlier on. Might be his pit lane limiter got stuck and his delta was stuck to 100, hence the steering will change. Maybe, yeah, I mean, he did come to a stop. I don't know, we didn't see the data beforehand, but he's still yet to get back out there. I'm trying to keep an eye out on it. I think he will get out there, but whether or not he will be able to... I mean, the thing is, George Russell could get out there and set a yellow flag. And then Antonelli secures pole position anyway, because no one else can go quicker. Then the conspiracy theories will be flying. But Mercedes sent George out there on purpose, even though they knew he would break down. So they are sticking new tyres on his car. It looks like they're waiting till... They're still trying to see if they can get this car in tip-top shape. As Antonelli, his teammate and currently sitting on provisional pole, is rounding the last corner here to start his last lap. So let's see how Kimi Antonelli fares, and let's see if he can improve and will swiftly follow everyone else behind him. So Kimi Antonelli down into turn 1. First sector, need to be careful here. Of course, the cars have been very twitchy through turn 1 and turn 2. The Mercedes has as well, even though it has looked very, very good. And we're looking for a sub 24 seconds for Kimi Antonelli. That's the fastest time that he has set thus far, is a 24 flat. And well, it's only a 100th of a second slower, as George Russell is out on track. There we go. So George Russell is out on track. We'll see if his car will hold up. But George Russell out on track, as Lando Norris has gone purple in the first sector. We saw this yesterday. The McLarens go quickest in the first sector, but then fall apart in the last sector. So we'll see if they're able to maintain that pace, as Charles Leclerc does a 24.118, so slightly slower for him, as Kimi Antonelli goes faster again in the middle sector, a 27.664. So Kimi Antonelli starting to turn up the heat here. He is improving. That first sector is yellow, but you're talking by 100th of a second. Lewis Hamilton a 24.1 in the first sector as well, so that's not particularly great. And Lando Norris does a brilliant middle sector, a 27.747. But it's still slower than Kimi Antonelli. So here comes Kimi Antonelli down the back straight. George Russell plodding his way round at the moment, and he'll be starting his lap. He'll be the last driver to start his flying lap, as he has yet to set one. As Charles Leclerc goes quickest in the middle sector. A great middle sector there for him, and for the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton as well. The Ferraris have turned it up there. But Antonelli improves by 3 tenths and goes... 2 tenths there, and goes with a 32 flat. How about Lando Norris? He does have the potential of pushing Kimi Antonelli, but does he have enough left in that last sector? No, look at that. Half a second difference in the last sector. And while Lando did a purple in the first and a green in the second, his last sector is so slow that he gets pipped by Charles Leclerc into P2. So Charles Leclerc provisionally into P2 as George Russell now starts his lap. But provisional pole is to Kimi Antonelli as Lewis goes P2 and goes ahead by 1/10 ahead, sorry, 100th of a second ahead of Charles Leclerc. So we could have a Ferrari on the front row as Gasly moves up into P6 ahead of the Red Bulls of Hadjar and Verstappen as they're on their laps right now. And Hadjar is yellow in the first sector, but green in the second as Max is green in the first and second as Behrman has got ahead of the Red Bulls as well. The Red Bulls surely can't get out-qualified by both Behrman and Gasly, can they? But Piastri did get ahead of Lando Norris, so that last sector for Norris was so poor as Hadjar does get ahead of Behrman, but he doesn't get ahead of Pierre Gasly as we're keeping an eye on George Russell. He does a 24 flat in the first sector as well, so Max moves up to 7. So all eyes on George Russell now. He has had issues in qualifying. It's only 6th fastest in the middle sector for George Russell. So he has it all to do in this last sector. But we know this is where he's been very strong and where the Mercedes power unit comes into its own. Let's keep an eye out here. So he is on course still for pole position, but he needs a mega last sector. Let's see how he fares. He needs a better than a 40.387 in this last sector to improve and get on pole position and at bare minimum lock out the front row. But at best, at worst for Ferrari, it is going to be a second row lockout, and we know how good they are with their race start. So here we go. George Russell, one more corner to navigate. He's had mechanical issues. Can he do it under pressure? It's a one-lap shootout for George, and he goes P2. It's a front row lockout for Mercedes. No one's surprised by that. But Kimi Antonelli is your pole sitter for tomorrow for the Chinese Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton, 3.5 tenths back from Kimi Antonelli in P3, Charles Leclerc in P4, and all front. It's a Mercedes front row lockout. It's a Ferrari second row lockout. It's a McLaren third row lockout with P5 and P6 for Piastri and Lando Norris. Pierre Gasly getting ahead of Verstappen and Hadjar in the Red Bulls there by over a 10th in P7 as Verstappen is in P8, Hadjar is in P9, and Ollie Behrman in P10. So, George Russell there, under pressure, not able to get the lap time in. He did a 40.491 in that last sector. The middle sector was quick, but it wasn't particularly quick in relation to Charles Leclerc, Lewis, Antonelli, and even the McLarens. And, well, it just shows that not everything... I mean, we'll see how that race start goes tomorrow. Kimi Antonelli starting from pole position. His first ever pole position. And, well, he has had poor race starts. He has had very poor race starts, so we'll see how he fares. I quite like that result, Connor. I think so. I think the best Ferrari can hope for right now in qualifying is them to be on the second row. And look, we know George is the quicker driver at this stage of the season anyway than Kimi, but that's 3.5 tenths back. That's an improvement. That is an improvement. That gap is getting smaller. So over the course of this weekend, it has got smaller. Now, who's to say George Russell maybe couldn't have got... Did George Russell have another 2 attempts there to put on Kimi Antonelli? Maybe. We won't know. But regardless, that gap is now 3.5 tenths. So, and we saw the race earlier on in the sprint race with a pit stop tomorrow and strategy as Toto Wolff does look a little bit more worried, by the way. Toto Wolff was kind of scratching his chin and looked a little bit more worried. It wasn't the smiley, happy, chappy Toto Wolff that we saw last week in Australia. So, McLaren's so arse in the straights. They are. Lando lost. Lando's first and second sector times were pole position material. And that last sector, he lost half a second. It's exactly a repeat of yesterday. So if McLaren, it shows that if McLaren can figure out what is going on with this Mercedes engine, just like Mercedes have been able to do, then they can challenge. They definitely can challenge. But, so let's have a run through of your provisional starting grid for tomorrow, guys. It is Kimi Antonelli on pole position. His first ever pole position. Yes, he got one in Miami for the sprint pole, but it's not technically a main race pole, is it? And it doesn't go down in the record books. Kimi Antonelli P1 with George Russell in P2. Could have been so close that he actually wasn't even. out there to do a lap. So first time George Russell's been out-qualified by Kimi this season. I know we've only had 2 qualifying sessions, but still. Kimi Antonelli ahead of George Russell there. Front row lockout for Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton in P3, out-qualifying Charles Leclerc by 1/100th of a second there. Super close between Hamilton and Leclerc. And I think if anyone has any concerns about Hamilton's qualifying performance for this season, I think you can kind of probably put those to bed because, I think he definitely he's definitely a lot more comfortable in that car. But still, not a lot to separate the 2 Ferrari drivers, and they could quite comfortably be 1-2 heading into the first corner, or at least halfway round the first lap tomorrow with their great starts that we've seen. Oscar Piastri in P5 and Lando Norris in P6. They've definitely found some performance heading into this weekend in China, but the big gap still is them not utilising that Mercedes power unit that their works team, their supplier, is able to do so. Pierre Gasly in P7. What a phenomenal job Pierre Gasly is doing right now, eh? In P7, top driver. And getting that Alpine into P7 is a tremendous effort. Ahead of the 2 Red Bulls of Verstappen and Hadjar in 8th and 9th. They're really struggling. Power unit seems to be okay, is reports from Red Bull themselves. It is their chassis and their aero package that is letting them down. Ollie Behrman, once again, another Q3 performance from him, out-qualifying his teammate and looking to score more points tomorrow. Nico Hulkenberg in P11. Franco Colapinto, disappointing from him, not able to get that into Q3 when his teammate has been able to. Esteban Ocon in P13. Liam Lawson in 14th. Lindblad in 15th. Same with Ocon as well. Not able to get that car into Q3 when his teammate is able to do so. Once again, not going to be too hard on those drivers because I don't know about car issues, battery issues, all that stuff that's ongoing at the moment. It's difficult to say until we hear the driver interviews and that to know exactly what is car performance issues and what is driver issues and driver performance issues. Liam Lawson 14th, Lindblad 15th, Bortoletto 16th. Lucky to not cause himself more damage there with a driver error out of the last or into the last corner. Sainz 17th and Albon 18th. The Williams definitely not at the races, and very, very poor start to 2026 for them, considering how much has been promised from them. Alonso 19th, getting ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas, getting ahead of Lance Stroll, which is interesting there in P20. Stroll 21st, and Sergio Perez, who's had difficulties with the reliability of his Cadillac all weekend, is in 22nd. There we go, guys. There we go. Show us the sector times. Of course I can. Sector times. Those are the final sector times there. Ferrari will lead the race, but strategy coming into play. Merc will take it for sure. Ferrari, please listen to the drivers. We'll see. We'll see. I think... Look, you just never know, I guess. I mean, look, if they're allowed clean air, Mercedes will win. But if Ferrari can mix it up with them, like, you never know. There may be a driver error. If you can try and stress their engines a bit more by getting racy with them, mechanical issues can come into play. There could be a balls up in the strategy from Mercedes. I mean, Mercedes aren't faultless with their strategy either. Yes, they made a great one last week with the VSC, but that's been a weakness of theirs in the past as well. So... still lots to play for. You just need to... What all Ferrari can do is just keep applying the pressure. Don't let them have it easy. And then you just never know what can happen. And hopefully, over the course of the season, you're able to close it down. So, hey, JB, you all right? Can hear Mila up and moving about. Yeah, she's been up and moving about too early for Georgia's liking. Will Toto tell Kimi to let George through on lap 2? No, I don't think so. He's going to let them fight, for sure. But their briefing, their race briefing, will be definitely about, of course, the 2 Ferraris and those race starts. Kimi's main focus is to just get a launch off the line right now, because he's 2 for 2 now for dropping like 6 places, 7 places at the race start. So Kimi needs to focus on those race starts, because if that happens again tomorrow, then it's probably a guarantee that a Ferrari is going to lead at the end of the first lap, and it's going to be a repeat of the sprint race earlier. Ferrari strong in Sector 2. They are indeed. They're much better. Much better. They definitely closed the gap. They definitely closed the gap from yesterday to today. And look, it could be this machine learning with the whole battery. It could be setup as well. Setup choices. I don't know. But it's an improvement, and the gap has closed. Piastri did good in Sector 3. Lando used all his battery in Sector 1 and Sector 2, I guess. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's maybe a bit of a wobble somewhere there, maybe for Lando. We did see them wobbling the cars through turn 11 and turn 12, so maybe lent on the tyres a bit too much as well. There's a few reasons as to why, but my pleasure, guys, my pleasure. Can Kimi pit Russell? Yeah, definitely. And the thing is as well is that I wonder if Mercedes, will let Kimi. I think they will let Kimi and Russell race, and if they race, that could help Ferrari, because at the moment it has just been kind of George Russell because of the poor starts from Kimi. So, yeah, if Kimi and George fight, we have seen how quickly the pack or the chasing pack or the chasing cars can catch up if drivers are fighting. So, if the Mercedes do lead from the front and George and Kimi start fighting, then who knows? That could end up being that could bring the Ferraris into it. My pleasure, David. My pleasure. If Ferrari don't mess up their race strategy, they can get 2 drivers on the podium for race day. Maybe. It's still a big if. Because the Mercedes does have an advantage still. So, you have a wild idea. Fast race start. Charles will lead, defend. Lewis will defend, lead. Like Science 2023, Lewis will make strategies. I think you'll probably start to see Lewis lead on the strategy side of things from the cockpit the more the season goes on. I think, last week he was a lot more confident on the radio, and I think he did that at Mercedes as well. He would just start calling strategies. Expect both the Ferrari to catch Mercedes before lap 2. Yeah, I think Ferrari will get a good launch again. I mean, we've seen that now. It's definitely something they have, an advantage they have, and they'll. I guarantee one of those Ferraris will be leading into the first. Maybe not into the first corner, but at least like around turn 3 into turn 6, maybe. So, Lewis Hamilton podium, best chance in a bloody good while. It is, yeah. I think it's too early in the season for Merc to allow the 2 to start fighting. Well, we'll see, Jarvis. We'll see what their approach is tomorrow, eh? We'll see what it is tomorrow. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in, by the way. If you can hit that like and subscribe button, mostly hit the subscribe button because it really does help grow this channel. So big thank you. We're trying to hit 100,000 subs this year if we can. But the next target is 80,000. Charles caught Lando 2 in the sprint during the race start. Yes, he got a very good start. So the Ferraris definitely do have an advantage. Mercedes doesn't deploy as much battery between turn 10 and T11. That's why Mercedes is faster on the back straight. There you go. It's a different deployment. It's also, they're just so much more efficient with it. They probably don't need to. Ferrari launch and they drop down again to Mercedes. That will probably be a conclusion to tomorrow. We'll see. I mean, the race will be different. Remember, there's going to be a pit stop tomorrow as well. Strategy. I know, obviously, that's probably a word. Strategy that sends shivers down the spines of the Ferrari engineers and even the drivers. But yeah, there's some things that could go on tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it still. Youngest pole sitter ever, is he really? I mean, what is he, 19? So yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Hamilton will get a podium tomorrow, but he's not beating Charles tomorrow. We'll see. I mean, look, the difference earlier on was that Charles even said himself he was able to sit back and just look after his tyres in the early stage of the sprint race, whereas Lewis was busy fighting, leaning on his tyres more, trying to overtake George around the outside, whereas Charles was just taking the race in line and looking after his tyres and biding his time. Obviously, could he have done more to fight George Russell and pit George? Maybe. But that definitely helped. And it definitely showcased that these tyres can degrade here. They will degrade. They are degrading. And that can play a large factor in how the race unfolds tomorrow. So, yeah. Are Ferrari's pit stops in 2025 actually fast? The pit stops themselves are fast, yes. They've massively improved on the speed of the pit stops. But the strategy is obviously still a lot left to be desired, so... Both Mercs and both Ferraris are going to be battling it out with Piastri hot on their tails, waiting for a mistake. Yeah, I mean, don't rule out the McLarens. I mean, they were unable to kind of... The only thing I would say about the McLarens is that they did seem like they were just a bit off the pace of the Ferrari and Mercedes, though. Like, they just weren't able to catch. Maybe they weren't too fussed about catching. I'd be very surprised about it, but they just weren't able to close that gap to under a second to the Ferraris and to the Mercedes, even when they were like fighting as well. So... Is the problem with Cadillac the aero package because the vast time difference to Ferrari? I don't know. Probably a multitude of things. Chassis, aero. As we've seen with McLaren, doesn't just because the works team's got a good engine doesn't mean that you're going to get the same amount of power and usage out of it and potential. So yeah, I mean, look, we have low expectations for them, of course. So hang on a second. I'm trying to see here. So Kimi Antonelli, they're showing on Sky Sports Kimi Antonelli's pole lap, the onboard. I want to see if they will show the back straight, because yesterday with George Russell's pole lap, they cut the video because they didn't want to show super clipping. So let me see if they're going to do it again. I'm just very curious to see if this is something they will show. Well, okay, they're showing it. They're showing Kimi Antonelli on the back straight. No graphics though. They showed it, so they didn't cut it today. They have shown the full lap. Good. That's what we need to see. We don't want the censoring. They cut away from George Russell's pole lap yesterday because they didn't want to show the super clipping. Lewis Hamilton hopefully learned from the sprint. Just wants a podium for himself, Aaron. Yeah, I mean, look, it's playing the percentages, isn't it, at the end of the day? And it's a long race tomorrow. It's a long race. So it's 58 laps, I believe it is. 58 laps. Tyre management is going to be key. And that could be the difference between him and Antonelli and George Russell as well. Like, even though they've got a pace advantage, how good are they going to be on their tyres? Like, I don't know. What is the lineup of the top 5? As you see there, Antonelli, Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc, and Piastri. Your wild guess is Russell P1, Leclerc P2, P3 finally for Hamilton, a win after these 2 years. I mean, I think that's a safe bet. I think that's definitely a safe bet. Antonelli, his race starts have been very poor. He did show earlier on though that Mercedes does have pace to catch up to the back of the field, up to the front pack. So even if that does happen, but then you'd be saying, okay, how much would he be eating into his tyres to do that as well? So it's going to be interesting. Would it be a 1-stop or 2-stop? I suspect it will be... it's a good question. I don't know. I've got a feeling it will be a 1-stop again. The hard compound tyre will definitely be used. It will probably be a medium to hard compound. Maybe a 2-stop. I think it might be... I think it might be on the cusp of a 1 to 2-stop. There definitely does seem to be degradation here and a lot of graining, so depends on and it depends on safety cars and VSCs because that gets in the way. So I don't know what I want tomorrow. I'm not sure if I want any VSCs and safety cars because I feel like it will be close-ish at the front, and I think I want an uninterrupted race just to see how it will unfold. Pit stop loss time, I think it's around 20 seconds. Don't quote me fully on that. We'll have a review of the pit stop loss time tomorrow before the race gets underway, of course, when we do our pre-race show and look at all the strategy options, tyre allocations, weather as well. I mean, it does seem to be bone dry for this weekend, so I don't expect that to be a factor, but it has played a factor in the past at Shanghai. Aston Martin has changed places with Alpine this year. Yeah. I think it's 58 laps as well. FIA can hide the telemetry, but we all know these cars are trash. Bring back the V8 or V10. They're not fully trash, Dunners. I'm going to dispute that. I don't like the power distribution. No, I don't think anyone does with the whole battery and how important the battery is. I don't agree with that. I think it should be a supporting mechanism. It shouldn't be fundamental to the power distribution. But I think there is a lot of good things about these cars, and that is the fact they're slightly narrower, they're slightly shorter, they're lighter, and they clearly have, I think they've nailed the aerodynamics of the car. I really do. I think that's a massive positive, and it's just a shame that, yes, it's just a shame that the engines and that is overriding the good work of the aerodynamics right now. But I think you sort out the engine, maybe, as I said, they're going to make some tweaks. Hopefully they work. I don't know what will work, but hopefully whatever they do tweak will work, and we have a better racing product. What type of fuel are they using this year? It is sustainable fuels, synthetic fuels, renewable fuels, I think. If you stall in pole position, you're done. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, it could be crash at the start, maybe. Pole position has no significance this year. I mean, it would do if you're Ferrari, because you have a great launch and guarantee yourself P1. But at this stage of the season, pole position, it still does have significance, but it's proving very difficult to hold on to the lead. Who's going to win tomorrow, according to me? George Russell. Yeah, I think George Russell will win again. I just think if there is no mechanical... I think the only way George doesn't win at the moment is if there are mechanical issues. And I do think he's a better driver than Antonelli. I think Antonelli is going to continue to learn, and there are going to be races he wins this year. But I think... There's not to say Antonelli can't win the race tomorrow, but I still haven't seen enough of Antonelli to be comfortable to say that Antonelli will win the race tomorrow over his teammate. So, considering what we've also seen from his teammate already this weekend, in sprint quali, in the sprint race, let's be real, probably the only reason George didn't get on pole today is because he had those mechanical gremlins. So, no hydrogen. It needs to be stored in very strong and heavy cylinders at high pressure. Indeed, indeed. Engines aren't bad, to be honest. You just have to utilise the battery smarter than the next man. Yeah, but it's more so about, obviously, it's about pushing a button, isn't it? We want the drivers to be able to make the difference. They are still making a difference because you still have to utilise the battery. And that's down, yes, some to machine learning and software, and some to you actually pressing the button when you think so. But it's exactly that. You're just pressing the button. It's not you making a difference in the corners and stuff, which there is still an emphasis of, but it's less as important now than what it was. So, how it has significance? Anthony got a 10-second penalty and lost 6 places at the start, and still got up there in 19 laps. Pole is a joke. Yeah, it's not as important. It's not as important right now. I'm saying it has significance for whoever, like if you're Ferrari. Hadjar less than a 10th off Max looks really good for him. It does, but it doesn't look good for Red Bull as a whole, though. But Hadjar definitely a lot closer to Verstappen, for sure. Yeah. New look Red Bull, no longer the same. Red Bull, obviously, who are going to massively prioritise one driver over the other. I think they understand that. Yes, Max will probably get updates first before Hadjar, but I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as it was in the Christian Horner Marco days. Right, guys, I've got to go. Little one is causing havoc. So, yes, that was a much more enjoyable qualifying session made by, of course, George Russell's mechanical issue there. And the gap is closing at the top. So, yeah, let's hope for a good race tomorrow. We'll be live an hour before the race starts tomorrow. So, 6 a.m. Lights out at 7 a.m. UK time. So, whatever time zone you're in. But, yeah, hopefully, well, it's the first time we've got the Ferrari starting on the second row. So let's see if they just go round the outside of both Mercedes, and lead, and they go side by side down into turn 1. But yeah, that turn 1, anything can happen. Anything can happen. We've seen incidents there before and plenty of contact in the past. So it's not to say that won't happen tomorrow, and maybe something dramatic will happen at the front. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in today for the sprint race and for qualifying. I've massively enjoyed it. My sleep schedule, my body clock hasn't, but I'm wide awake now. So yeah, I'll get some shut eye later on today. But have a lovely rest of your Saturday wherever you are in the world, and we will catch you Sunday for the Chinese Grand Prix. And yeah, with Kimi Antonelli on pole position, George in P2, Hamilton in 3rd, Charles on 4th. It's set up for a very interesting race start. We'll see you then. Thanks guys. Bye. Hit the like and subscribe button on your way out.